In the last video, I said that I was going to talk about spring quarter, but I realized I'm skipping over something entirely that I don't really want to talk about, but in the interest of telling a authentic, transparent story, if I like, of course, there's lots of private things that I'm leaving out or that don't add to the story. I mean, freshman year in college was a shit show. That's why I'm recording this. But I do believe like there's certain parts of this that I can't just gloss over. There's no point in me doing this if I'm not going to tell them. So the holidays were one of the most, especially that first batch freshman year. All right, so this might be 2 or 3 videos. Let's start with Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was the first time, no, that came later, that I was the only one on campus. We'll get to that. Or was it Thanksgiving? No, I found somebody else on Thanksgiving, but what I'm getting at is that that was the first multi-day break because, again, Thanksgiving happens fairly quickly, right? Once your fall quarter, winter, all that happens quicker than you expect, right? So that was the first time that I was going to be in my dorm without having access to the dining halls, which is kind of a big deal because freshmen, it's different when you live in an apartment and you're grocery shopping, but when you're a freshman and you're living on campus, or when you're not a freshman, you aren't necessarily, your dorm isn't necessarily set up for things like grocery shopping, having dishes, etc. But you also forget things like janitorial service, right? You don't buy things like dish soap, like toilet paper. That's all that comes into the package of being in a dorm. And this is why I knew that there was going to be times where I was going to be quite literally living out of my dorm full time. In other words, there isn't always a home for people to go back to, right? So everything that I owned was in that dorm with me. A couple things at my parents' house, right, that I ended up getting later in my grandmother's garage. But you know what I mean? I was not on speaking terms with my family for the first 3 years of college. And it was really dark at times, navigating the world. And again, Thanksgiving was the first time that happened. So I just remember, and then here's the other thing, is that staying on campus when you're supposed to go home, when those services aren't happening, guess what? That also costs more money. Oh, I totally forgot about that. So these little in-between times, these little breaks when everyone else would go home, spring break, parts of the summer, Thanksgiving, Christmas break, the two weeks solid. I think we got 3 weeks my freshman year. That's why it was so fucking lonely. Pardon my French. Gosh, again, it's been a while, but it was kind of really depressing. Full disclosure, I didn't really partake in marijuana until, I didn't do it during high school, right? I was too busy getting into college. It wasn't really my thing. I didn't stop drinking until a little bit later. And as you've already told, I had a huge problem with it. But I remember that I got so lonely over that first break, if not Thanksgiving, then winter, that I bought some weed and I smoked and I got way too insanely high. And for some reason, I decided that it'd be a good idea to watch Twilight. And then walk to the creepy one. I think it was the one where at the end she wakes up and she's not dead. The one that's part 1, part 2. Is it Eclipse? I don't know. But I remember, and then I think, why don't I go take a walk outside at night? Oh, and then I watched Schindler's List. Guys, that's what it was. I watched Twilight, and then my genius is like, why don't I watch Schindler's List when I'm like high, and it's like high school high, if you know what I mean, because I didn't smoke in high school. Stupid, stupid, stupid idea. So, yeah. On actual Thanksgiving Day, I posted on one of those groups, one of those Facebook groups, to see if there was anyone else on campus. Because again, UCLA had a solid international student population. So as opposed to Christmas, where the entire campus was empty, we'll get to that. Thanksgiving, there were a few people who didn't go home, don't celebrate Thanksgiving, right? So I found somebody, ironically enough, from San Francisco. I don't remember her name, but from my rival high school of all places. And we went to a club. We went to Tiger Heat. I already talked about Tiger Heat. We went to Tiger Heat on Thanksgiving Day. And I just remember thinking to myself that, gosh, like how depressing. All of us who were there on Tiger Heat. It was, like we did have a decent crowd actually. It wasn't super big, but it was there. I made out with a girl, a really cute girl. I did. And I remember on the bus ride back home, the girl who I had found to go out with commented that the girl that I made out with was really cute. So, yeah. I think I'm gonna call this Holidays Part 1 because this was mostly Thanksgiving, and then I'm gonna talk about Christmas, which was a little different, but we'll get there. I'll talk about that in the next video. Talk about Christmas, and then that will bring us to the end of, not the end of my freshman year, the end of that year was 2011, right? Because I graduated from high school. Again, totally aging myself, it's fine, but just to keep the timeline consistent, the next video will bring us to the end of 2011.